I still want to make sure that I'm saying the right things because knowing me, if you know, you know. This is such a great video, I know. Did I say that already? I don't remember. Oh my gosh, I'm lost today. I missed going to the mall. I'm so happy that I did. Hey guys, so today's video is going to be the eyeshadow palette tag. This is a tag that was created by Samantha March and March and Glines, and I'm so excited to be doing this with a bunch of my YouTube friends. There will be a collaboration playlist in the description, so you can go ahead and check out their videos when you're done watching mine because this is so fun and I'm really glad that we got to collaborate on this. But basically, the eyeshadow palette tag is just talking about your eyeshadow palette collection. There's a bunch of questions and I'm going to be answering them. Before I get into it though, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified every single time I upload a new video. I upload on YouTube every other day, and I would also love for you to head over to my Instagram, show me some love there because I upload every single day a lot more creative looks. But I also just filmed this look for Instagram and I'm like totally living for the fox eye vibe. But anyway, let's get into this video. It's so hot. The lights are making me like die. It is hot. It is turning into summer weather and I'm so sad. All right, 1 second, let me find the questions. Even though I planned this out, like I know exactly what palettes I'm talking about, I still want to make sure that I'm saying the right things because knowing me. So the first question is to show your newest palette. So actually a couple of days ago I did order a few new palettes because Sephora was having like a Memorial Day sale or something, and all of the mini Norvina palettes were on sale, as well as the Natasha Denona like mini Tropic palette. I think that's what it's called. It hasn't actually come in yet, but like I ordered all 3 minis of the Ebates Norvina palettes and I'm so excited for those. And I also ordered the Natasha Denona Tropic, the mini one. They were all like less than, I would say less than $30 each. I think the Natasha Denona one was actually like 15 or something. The savings were insane, so I had to take advantage of that. So not including the palettes that I get in BOXYCHARM or the palettes that are coming in the mail, this would be my newest palette. This is the Jeffree Star Bloodless palette. I actually included this in another category, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but you all know, like, if you know, you know. It's just such an awesome palette. I absolutely love it and no regrets purchasing that one. That one was back in February, so I haven't really purchased a palette since then except for the ones that are coming in the mail. So it says to show your oldest palette. Now I don't actually have it with me. I haven't decluttered it yet. I know for a fact that I haven't decluttered it. It's either in storage. We have a storage unit here because we just don't have the space to like use all of our stuff and we can't access it right now, so I can't really show it to you. It's either there or it's in my mom's house in Miami, and I didn't actually take it with me to California before, like when I moved, or Virginia when I moved. So I think it's in either of those places. I know for a fact I haven't decluttered it and I know it's still in my collection. It's just not with me right now. And it is the Stila In The Moment, I think is what it's called, palette. They actually don't even make it anymore. Yeah, it's called the In The Moment palette. And I will insert a picture here because you need to see this palette. It's beautiful. It is the most gorgeous purple palette. Like, I was obsessed with purples back in the day. That was actually my first high-end purchase too. But it's definitely like one of my oldest palettes. I would say I purchased that right before I got into YouTube and makeup and all that. I would say it's 8 or 9 years old. I wouldn't say it's any older than that for sure. It is really old. The third question is show your most expensive palette. I don't have it with me either, and that would be the Huda beauty palettes. Any Huda beauty palette that's $65. It's the bigger ones, not the mini ones. It's insane. Like they're insanely pricey. They're insanely pricey, and I don't really understand. I'm actually going to be talking about one of the palettes later on in the questions as well because yeah, but those are $65. I had to really think about this because this one was pretty pricey. This one I think was $58, $56, but the Huda beauty ones are $65, and those are definitely my most expensive and way too expensive, to be honest. I don't own any Natasha Denona full-size palettes or anything like that, or Pat McGrath. I know those are really pricey in the $100 range, which is insane to me. I think $65 was insane, so I don't think I would purchase anything more expensive than that. The next question is show your most affordable palette. So I think this is a tie between Colourpop and BH Cosmetics. I don't have any of my Colourpop palettes with me either. This is such a great video. I know I can't even show you my freaking palettes, but I would say the most affordable palette I own is the Colourpop Yes Please palette, and I also have the Zodiac palette, the collab with Kathleen Lights, and those are both in storage. And I believe those are all like between $15 and $18. I don't really remember, but I also have the BH Cosmetics Take Me to Brazil palette, which I think is more a bang for your buck if you think about it, because it comes with a lot more shades, and this one is, I believe, $20 right now. It's on sale the last time I saw for I think 18, but I think the regular price is $20. It comes with all these shades. Like, it is insane. All in all, this is the most affordable palette for what you get, and I definitely use this a lot. It's like obviously not super high-end quality, but I mean, if you're just starting out and you want to play with color, this is a great palette to get. Definitely recommend it. The next question is to show an everyday palette, and I'm actually going to cheat a little bit and show 3 everyday palettes that I really like. But to be honest, I don't use these every day personally because I don't do neutrals that often. The only time I wear makeup is to post on Instagram or post on YouTube, in which like my forte is just colorful makeup. But I am going to show my top 3 everyday palettes that I think makeup lovers should own, especially if they wear makeup every day and they like the neutrals. The first is the Tati Beauty Textured Neutrals palette. This is beautiful. I love this palette. I'm actually wearing it on my eyes. I kept the sleeve and everything. I love this. I feel like it's such a unique concept that she came up with here. You have a bunch of neutrals. You have the most intense matte black that you'll ever need, and I'm actually wearing it on my eyes. Did I say that already? I don't remember. Oh my gosh, I'm lost today. I'm actually wearing this shade, and this shade on my eyes today, doing the foxy eye look, the fox eye look. I don't even know what to call it. The formulas in this palette are so unique. It is definitely worth the money, I think, in my opinion, and it is a great everyday palette. I think it's also great for bridal work. If you're a makeup artist, I think you need this in your kit, which is also why I bought it. I don't just use it on myself, I use it on clients. And next we have Blood Sugar. I think Jeffree Star Blood Sugar palette is definitely the most perfect everyday palette. This is actually one of the newer palettes in my collection. I bought it in 2020. I know, it's like one of his first palettes that he ever came out with, but I just bought it. But this is a beautiful everyday palette because you have a white and you have some transition shades and you have a few lid shades as well. My everyday makeup look would consist of probably this in the crease, one of these shades on the lid, or even this matte shade on the lid, and then I like to deepen the outer corner with some sort of burgundy mauve color, which is why I think this is a beautiful everyday palette. That's just my opinion, and you can't beat the formula of Jeffree Star eyeshadows, obviously, and the packaging. Everything about this palette I absolutely love. It's a great neutral everyday palette. And then my last everyday palette would be the Jeffree Star Thirsty palette. Unfortunately, you can't get this anymore, which I'm very sad about. I'm glad I got this in a mystery box. I would have been so upset if I couldn't get this. But I absolutely love this palette for everyday because you have really nice crease shades. You can deepen with this shade over here. You have beautiful lid shades, and then you have your pops of color for people that want to go bold a little bit. I just absolutely love this palette. If you don't have it, I'm really, really sorry I'm talking about it, but like, it's just unnecessary. I hope he comes out with something similar so people that couldn't get this palette could get it. The next question is to show your most colorful palette, and I'm gonna cheat again and talk about 4 different palettes because, you know, colorful palettes are my thing. That's what I specialize in. So the first one, I would say, if we're talking the most colorful palette I own, it would be the Jeffree Star Jawbreaker palette because there's hardly any neutrals in here. There's maybe like 2 neutrals, I would say. The rest is super colorful. I use this palette so much. It's actually my project pan. It is a huge goal of mine to hit pan on one of the like yellow shades, or I don't know, another shade. The purple I've used a lot too. I just use this palette so much. I also think that the Take Me Back to Brazil is super colorful. There's hardly any neutrals in here either, if any at all, and this is a great beginner palette. I already talked about it, so I'm not going to say much more. I also obviously think that the Morphe James Charles palette is one of the most colorful palettes. This is like the perfect rainbow palette, but you also have your neutrals, which is awesome for beginners as well. And then we have the Be Perfect Cosmetics Carnival XL Pro palette. This is my ultimate colorful dream as well. It has, you know, the rainbow shades as well, but you also have like your 2 rows of neutrals, which is also perfect for beginners. This palette does come from the UK, so it costs a little more because of shipping if you live in the US, but it is so worth it, and I would definitely buy a new one. As you can see, I'm hitting pan on so many shades. I use this so often. I absolutely love the formula. It is so great. Highly recommend it. Such a great palette. Love it. The next question is to show your smallest palette. Again, I can't really show them. They're on storage, and that would be the Huda Beauty mini palettes. My husband a couple of years ago for Christmas got me like literally all of them. I love the palettes because they're really travel friendly and they have like different color schemes, so blue, green, amber, red, you know, all that stuff, and I have pretty much all of them. I think the only one I'm missing is the Smoky Obsessions, which is fine. Like, I don't really need smoky. I don't know, I just don't need it. And like I said, I also recently purchased the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina mini palettes, so those are coming in the mail as well. Those are also 9 pan shadows, just like the Huda ones, so I would say they're probably the same size. I don't know how to compare them because I don't have them yet, but yeah, those are pretty much my smallest palettes. The next question is to show your biggest palette, and that would be this one, which I already kind of talked about. This is the Jeffree Star Bloodlust palette. When he first released this, and I went to buy it on launch day, by the way. I had the Morphe store in the mall. I miss going to the mall. But when I first held this in my hands, I was like, this is a giant palette. Like, what am I supposed to, like, where am I supposed to store this? Like, there's literally no way. So I just kind of display it on my shelf, and that's how I just, like, that's how I store it. Like, it literally won't fit in the drawer with the rest of my eyeshadow palettes. It is so giant, but like so luxe. This is definitely one of my biggest palettes. It's also like an odd shape, like that's why I would say this is my biggest palette, even though I have the Morphe James Charles. Like, that's a pretty big palette. This is just like, it's bulky, so this is why I'm classifying this as my biggest palette, I think. The next question is to show a palette with the best memory. I would say the first Jaclyn Hill palette with Morphe brings back the best memories, because I actually ordered it while I was in California for the summer. Like, when we first moved, we didn't move. We were actually just staying there for the summer when my husband first got his job and he had to do some training out there for a couple months. We stayed in an Airbnb, and it was a really, really nice house that we stayed in, and the views were really pretty. And when I first got the palette, I actually took pictures of it, like with the views in the background, and it was like super pretty. And I was like so happy that I got that palette, and I was able to create a bunch of looks during the summer while I was at home and he was in his training. We only had one car, so I really couldn't go anywhere either. It was just a really fun time. It was a fun summer. It was our first summer in California. It like brings back really good memories when I think of that palette. I don't know. And it was also when I first started experimenting with color, which I hadn't really done much of. So I think that's the palette that introduced me to really colorful looks and stuff. So I definitely love that palette, and every time I look at it, I think about that summer in California. The next question is to show a palette that is worth the hype, that was worth the hype. To me, it would be the Jeffree Star Shane Dawson Conspiracy palette. I was so nervous when I got this palette that I wouldn't live up to the expectation. I mean, I literally watched the docu-series like a hawk. Every time it released, I watched it right away. I was so excited about it. So when I finally got this in my hands, I was like, oh my gosh, it was so worth it. The packaging and all that, and the color scheme. I use this palette so much. I'm obsessed with this palette. It is definitely worth the hype. Super recommend it. I think it's back in stock now if you want to take advantage of it. I recommend everyone to have this in their collection. It's just such a fun thing to have. So happy that I did. Next is to show a palette that's not worth the hype, and I would say that would be the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. I don't have it with me, it's in storage. I've literally only used that palette maybe a handful of times, if that. It's just, I feel like it is not worth $65. I definitely don't think that her palettes are worth the hype in general. So number 12 is to show your favorite palette from a favorite brand, and that would be the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. I thought I had it with me, but I think I don't. I think it's in storage, which is unfortunate. That is the palette that I use on clients the most, because it has the most beautiful neutrals. It is the perfect wedding palette in my opinion, and I just absolutely love that palette. I use the crap out of that palette. It is like so beat up, and I probably need a new one, but it is such a great formula, and it is such a great palette for every day as well. If I could include that in the everyday section, I would. It's just such a great palette, and I absolutely love the brand. I love everything the brand stands behind. I love Anastasia Beverly Hills, their goals. I definitely love the Soft Glam palette. The next question is to show your most used palette, and I already did. I'm gonna grab it again, hold on. I would say it's a tie between this one and another one I'm gonna talk about in a second. This is the Be Perfect Cosmetics Carnival XL Pro palette. As you can see, I've hit pan on a lot of shades. I absolutely love this. Every time I do a colorful look, I dip into this no matter what, like even if it's for just one shade or two shades, I always dip into this. I love this palette. Definitely my most used, and I think that's a tie with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. Actually, that's one of my oldest palettes as well. It's not my oldest, but it's one of my oldest, and it's definitely one of my most used. Before I started getting into colorful looks, I did a lot of neutrals, and that's the palette that I would use a lot. So definitely love that palette. Also don't have it with me. It's in storage. It's here. It's in the state. It's in the vicinity. Actually, I don't think it's in the state. I think it's close though. Don't worry. Love that palette. Wish I can go get it. When we can go get it, I'm gonna get all of my palettes, to be honest, but I miss them so much. I need to make sure they're okay. So the next question is to show a palette that you've used every single shadow from, and that would be Bloodlust. I actually did a 3 looks 1 palette with this palette, and I used every single shade in all 3 looks. I did like a purple look, I did a green look, like using these two shades, and I did a red look using the red shade. I just wanted to prove that this palette is super versatile and it's not just like a purple palette, which a lot of people were like sad that it wasn't just a purple palette and it wasn't more like Blood Sugar and Blue Blood, but I mean, I am too. Like, I wish he would come out with just an all purple, but at the same time, I'm obsessed with the way every single look I've done with this palette came out, because I don't know, it just shows the versatility. So definitely love this palette, and I've used every single shade. And I think the last question that I've seen going around, but for some reason I can't find the questions, but I'm gonna include it in mine just because I want to, is show an honorable mention. And I have two actually that don't fit in any of the other categories. The first is the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. I thought I would include this in my newest palette, but I actually got this before Bloodlust, so technically no, but I just think that this palette is amazing. This is the volume 2. If I didn't say that, I don't know if I did. I think that this palette is your perfect summer palette. It has so many beautiful bright summer shades and the formula is amazing. I actually like this palette a lot more than the volume 1, to be honest. I think that it's a great palette and everyone should definitely check it out. You can't beat it for the price. I know she's very controversial at the moment, but it's okay. I don't know, I just really like the palette. I think it was a good palette. I also have a 3 looks 1 palette with this. I also have a 2 looks 1 palette for Valentine's Day that I did. That video did really well. A lot of people really liked the looks that I came up with for that. Another honorable mention palette is the Jeffree Star Blue Blood palette. If you like blues, you need this in your life. Literally only bought this palette for a couple of shades that I really, really enjoy. And I haven't used this as much as I want to, but I love this shade and this shade. Like, the teal colors are my vibe, they're my jam. But I love that you get some neutrals in here as well. I think that this is a great palette and you can't go wrong with the Jeffree Star formula. Like I keep saying, I think Blue Blood is a great palette and I highly recommend it. So I did want to also mention that one. I would also mention Alien, but it's sold out, so I'm not going to because I don't want to give people FOMO, but that would also go in my honorable mentions category if you think about it. And I'm so glad I got it in a mystery box as well. Try to make sure that I didn't miss any questions. I don't think I did though. Pretty sure that I got all the questions. Hopefully I did. So yeah, that completes this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm not gonna tag anybody in specifically. I don't know. I mean, it's an eyeshadow palette tag video, but if you want to do this, then do it. I was just so excited that my friends, my smaller YouTuber friends, wanted to do this tag, so don't forget to go check them out. The playlist will be down below. I think at this point it's only like 3 or 4 of us doing it, but I thought it would be fun to make it a collab. I can't wait to watch their videos and see what eyeshadow palettes they classify in each category. It's so much fun to just see what other people think about certain eyeshadow palettes, and yeah, I would love to know your responses as well, so let me know in the comments some of the answers as well. And yeah, that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out a lot. Don't forget to check out everyone's video down below in the description and check out their channels. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. But anyway, let's get into this tag video. So the first question is this is my newest palette. This is the, I'm actually gonna be talking about this. I don't need any more palettes. I'm not gonna buy any palettes. I have a few. And then my last favorite everyday palette would be the, backwards. And then the last, say that this is